5-year-old Mark was always considered to be a strange child. Everyone just attributed his odd behavior to his overactive imagination. He said he often saw scary people, and today he again surprised his older brother Tom. Mark had drawn something on a piece of paper, which he then handed to Tom. "He told me to draw it," Mark began. "He's coming after you. You'd better hide." Tom snapped back at him. "Well, aren't you the creative troublemaker? No more YouTube at night for you, especially scary stories." Mark shrugged his shoulders and calmly said, "These aren't scary stories. This is very, very real. He watches you." At that moment, the smile disappeared from his brother's face. The atmosphere had become extremely creepy. It really felt as if Mark was deadly serious, and this was no joke. Tom snapped. "This isn't funny at all. Go to bed," he shouted. Soon after, though, Tom had cooled down and went to apologize to Mark. Mark had more to tell him, though. "I have someone living under my bed," he stated. Tom quickly looked under the bed. Naturally, there was no one there. Another poorly played prank from Mark. Tom decided not to scold him, but instead comfort him by saying, "Don't worry, there's no one under the bed." To which Mark replied, "I know there's no one under the bed, because he's behind you." A young man was returning from a business trip along a dark, unfamiliar road. The GPS had long ceased to show the way, so all he could do was travel onward. As he approached a tunnel, he noticed that someone had run out from within the forest. It was a little boy in dirty clothes. The boy ran up to the car, and he began to knock on the glass and demanded to be let in. His eyes were wide open and trembling as he continued to beat on the glass. The man opened the door and let him into the back seat. "What happened?" he asked. "What are you running from? Wolves?" The boy then pointed towards the forest. Standing in the road was a man with a large hook in his hand. "Damn, damn, damn!" the man exclaimed as he stepped on the gas. The creepy man with the hook stayed on the road behind them and waved his hands and shouted loud and unintelligibly. "Who was that? Where did you come from? Are you okay?" The man rapidly fired questions at him. "I was going home, and then he pounced on me," the boy replied. "People often disappear here." "My God," the man whispered. "Show me where you live. You're safe now. We need to call the police." The boy's thin hand pointed towards the tunnel. "There," he said. It was dark inside. The tunnel lights were not working, and there were all sorts of garbage strewn about the place. "Where does this go?" the man questioned. "It looks abandoned. We need to find another way. What village do you live in?" "Here," the boy replied. "What?" The man was confused. "We all live here," the boy uttered. "Who are you?" the man asked as he tried to see where they were going.
"There were too many of us,"
the boy began, "and the uncle with the hook began to catch us." The man then noticed that his car was surrounded by dozens of little people. He turned on the headlights and saw a most terrible sight.
"People often disappear here,"
the boy remarked. It was an ordinary evening. An elderly man was leafing through his newspaper at home and scanning the articles. One of them was an article on hirudo-therapy, leech therapy. It promised miraculous healing for almost all sores, since everything he had tried so far to cure his own ailments had failed. He immediately made an appointment. He took the bus out of the city to an old, remote, and decrepit hospital. he entered through the gate and looked up at the 19th century building. He certainly had the right address. However, there were no lights on in the windows. He wondered if they had just recently gone out and if he had missed his appointment. Regardless, the man knocked on the door, and soon a young nurse answered, who then welcomed him inside. He said that he had called them about the leech therapy. The nurse said she knew this and asked him to take a seat on the bed and wait. Unsettlingly, the man realized that the hospital was completely silent, as if there were no one else in the building, neither patients nor doctors, and the beds of the ward were completely empty. Then, a nurse suddenly appeared out of nowhere and said, "I see you're probably wondering why there are no patients or staff here. Well, the patients never have to stay the night, and I can conduct the leech therapy on my own, you see. These slippery little guys always work perfectly." A fat, dark brown leech wriggled in the nurse's fingers. "Interestingly," she said, "they work even better at night." The man took off his shirt, lay down on the bunk, and the nurse put some leeches on his back. She told him to relax, and she would return to take them off in 30 minutes. His eyelids closed, and he slowly fell asleep. He was awakened by an unusual weight on his back. He could hardly even move. He looked at his back and he saw that instead of leeches, in their place were now horrific-looking creatures, half worms, half humans. They sucked his blood and grew before his eyes, that he was too weak to even raise a hand in an attempt to tear them off. "What's wrong with you?" the nurse snapped. "Don't move, otherwise the treatment will fail." "What?" the man wailed. "What are you doing to me? What are these things? Get them off me!" "What are these things?" she replied. "Well, you were wondering where the other patients were. Here they are. My family. They grow extremely fast, you see." "Get them off me," he demanded. "I can't do that, I'm afraid," she replied with an evil smile. "Not until my children are full and satisfied. I told you that they work well. You'll no longer feel any pain from any of your ailments. And also, you won't have to stay the night."